So how are you feeling, Lee?
Really nervous. People are going to see this, obviously, and are going to see my vulnerabilities. My insecurities are out there, and I'm going to be looking at it and seeing it, and everything I don't like is going to be there in plain view. Yeah.
So why have you decided to put this out here today?
Because today is September 10th and it's World Suicide Prevention Day. Like, I've kind of gone through this whole thing, and so I know what it feels like, but also now, because I've come through the other side, I think I have a story to share. It's about two types of people. It's about the people who are going through depression or even, thinking about suicide. And it's for the other people who aren't. And so for the people who aren't, I kind of want to raise awareness of it, a little bit more. I'm very aware that although the world has come along in the last 10 years or so, regarding mental health, we still have a long way to go. And suicide in particular is very taboo, and people kind of avoid the situation because there seems to be a lack of understanding around it. Actually, what we need to do is move forward together as a society. For people who have never experienced it or don't really understand it, it's more about, they kind of think that they need to be able to solve it if somebody comes and talks to them about it, and you don't. And the best thing you can do for anybody is just be there and listen. People who are experiencing, issues and thought about ending it, I want them to be able to kind of hopefully watch this and realise that there is potential to be okay. That there are definitely people out there that want to listen and want to be there, whether that's your doctor or whether that's the Samaritans or a friend. There will be somebody, even in the most loneliest times, there will be somebody that you can talk to. And so, yeah, I kind of want to give understanding to the people who don't understand and give hope to the people who are in that situation, I suppose.
What experiences do you have around suicide?
I remember turning 18, and literally I think it was 3 days after my 18th birthday, and the doctor put me on pills straight away, antidepressants. And so depression was very much a part of my kind of later teenage life. And then from there it just kind of spiraled, it just got even worse. There was a whole sexuality thing going on. I was brought up in church, and so there was this whole kind of feeling of who I am is wrong. Then I was diagnosed with ME, and I definitely, that kind of screwed me up even more, because I was 18 years old, 19, my friends were playing football and I kind of had to stop, and I wasn't allowed to be young in my head. In the space of a year, everything just went wrong, and me and the partner split up. I got into loads of money issues because of my illness and couldn't work as much. So I ended up having to move out, letting my friend down. Church went completely wrong. Things just started crumbling all around me. And I suppose, and I didn't have the mental strength to be able to cope. And I met a friend called Greg, and he kind of was that person in that year that just seemed to get it. It didn't matter what happened, he just seemed to understand what was going on. I moved down to Plymouth for the summer, and it was good. I was starting to build up my muscles again. I had a really nice job. I was working in the sun, on the Riviera sort of thing, the Barbican, and it was lovely. And then I started getting ill again and came home just to kind of build my strength up again, and lived with my nan and bams. And the plan was to move back down to Plymouth when I was strong enough, and my friend Greg died. I remember getting the phone call that he'd gone, and it was just, I don't know, it was bizarre. It just knocked me. That was it. After the year that I'd had, that was enough. And so after that, trying to deal with the death and and everything else that was happening, I couldn't cope anymore. like I really didn't feel right at all. I think I even, if I remember rightly, I think I even had lunch with a friend, and said to her, I don't want to be here anymore. And she didn't know what to do. It was just one of those, I think that even then I just thought, crap, actually this is real. But I didn't think for one second that I would do anything about it. It was just one of that feeling that I just didn't want to be here anymore. And then the day that it happened, I'd had a really, really nice evening, and I remember just driving home, and then something, and I have no idea what, something just flipped. That was it. And this argument kind of started in my head about whether or not that I would do it. And I remember I ended up convincing myself that it was a win-win if I died. Like people would get on with it, as I saw with Greg's death. People would get on with it. Yes, they would be upset, but they would get on with it, and I wouldn't have to wake up to me anymore. And so I remember this whole way home, there was this fight going on, and I remember driving past Tesco garage down the road, and you know, this one part of my brain was going, go on, if you think you're big enough, go and buy some tablets then. And I didn't. I drove past, and I got to my nan and Bamps' house, and by that point something had obviously flipped. And I remember just going, they'd gone to bed, and I remember just going into their cupboard, and they had loads of tablets. I remember just taking them all. This is the only memory I have where I'm kind of not seeing it through my eyes. I see me. And I remember just kind of walking out from the kitchen and into the dining room and sitting down, just writing this suicide note out.
Who did you address the suicide note to?
Everybody. And just kind of explaining about why I had to do it. And I just remember then finishing the note and just thinking, right, okay, this is it, now it's done. But I grew up in church, and like I said before, and I remember doing this thing with God, this deal in my head, kind of going, right, I've had enough now, I'm done, I'm ready to die. I'm going to do enough to kill me. If I make it through this, then maybe I'm supposed to be here, so I will then try and live like I should be here. But if I don't wake up, then no biggie. I was led there, and all of a sudden, these lights, car lights, shone on me, and then they disappeared. They went. You know, this car drove off, and that was the moment then when I suppose the rationale kind of started kicking in, and I thought, crap, someone's going to find me here, and so then I started thinking, right, what do I do? You know, do I phone somebody? And I remember I rang 999 and just said, look, I've taken this many tablets. Is this bad? And they were like, you need to get to hospital straight away. You've really done enough to like kill yourself. And I just hung up the phone. So I just went back, and things got bad, and I was really not feeling well and like all over the place. And then again, it just kind of came back in that somebody's going to find me here. And actually, I think it was my mum that came into my head, and just thinking, she's going to be devastated. So I think that was the bit that kind of brought me back. And I remember then I thought, no, right, okay, I've still done enough to kill myself. So if I die, it's still not the worst. You know, it's still not the worst. But actually, so it kind of obviously tapped into a part of me that wanted to live, and I think that's the difference. You know, I think this is the bit that I really want people to listen to, in the sense that for people who don't understand it, they call it about these cry for attention, you know, and all that sort of stuff. But actually, there's very much a part of somebody that is willing to die. You know, there's different parts of everybody going on all the time, which is what causes a lot of inner conflict. You know, but actually, there's a part of you that wants to die and is happy to die. And I got to a point where kind of I acted on that part instead of, you know, the part of me that wanted to live. I rang my friend, who was brilliant, and the next thing I know, he was there. And then I don't remember much after that. I really don't remember much after that. I remember going to the hospital, and I remember waking up the next morning in the bed, and the only bit, and then it was just shame. There was a lot of shame. You know, it just all became a bit like mad, but there was something within me that was like, okay, I'm alive, so therefore you have to live now.
Did you feel upset that you had made it through?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. The brain doesn't stop, and it's very, very critical of me. And it literally just constantly, even as we're doing this video now, this voice in my head is just constant and like putting me down. So it gets exhausting sometimes. And so part of my work actually has been, over the last couple of years in particular, has been having an argument with that voice. And it sounds really stupid, but so it's now accessing the other parts of me that wanted to live, that want to fight, that want to be strong, you know, all those parts that were kind of shut down before, and listening to what they have to say.
So did it ever go through your head at any point that you were being selfish or what you were doing?
Like, I get what people say, I genuinely get what people say about, you know, it being selfish and leaving people behind, but actually, for that moment, like, I was obviously in that much pain. I didn't want to be here anymore, and to a degree, I kind of understand the selfishness of keeping me here. Makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I know, again, even that sounds selfish as I'm saying it, but you know, there was very much a part of me that was quite happy to die, and I didn't want to suffer anymore. And I know that is that I get what people are saying, but
did you have thoughts that they'd be better off without you anyway?
Not that they would be better off, but just that they would carry on. But them going through a bit of pain and then learning to live with it was easier than me having to wake up to me every day. I remember then just trying to build from there. You know, it was I had to recognise who was around me, if people were around me. If not, then what did I have to do about that? But just going and talking to somebody, ringing the Samaritans, ringing your doctor, you know, just sometimes that seems the biggest thing. And it is in that moment.
What can people do to offer support?
Tell them where to go, talk to them about who they can contact, you know, get them to try and go to their doctors, or just meet up and have a cup of tea with them. Just let them know that somebody's there. What you need is somebody to kind of go, okay, let's make this about you for a moment. And not in a selfish way, but just in a, I'm there for you. Because that's what life's about. It's about relating. And could just be the thing that makes somebody go, okay, I can do this. So yeah. Thank you very much for watching and listening to my story. Hope it hasn't gone on too long. But if you, like I said, if you are somebody who is struggling, then I'm going to put a couple of numbers up at the end of this that you can contact. But also, if you're one of the people that aren't struggling, please just keep your eye out for your friends, for anybody. Don't do anything but just be there, and encourage. And for those of you struggling, you can get out of this easily. I can. It feels hard, it's horrible, but you can get out of it. So good luck.